I'm going to screw up how to pronounce his last name, Mikinini. And I've also forgotten, is it Arlo? Arno? I think it's Arno. So these pictures, right, very, very, very different from Carrie Mae Weems. Obviously, old white guy. I guess actually in that one, the old part is not necessarily obvious. What's his name here? Arno. Whew! Arno Raphael Minkinen. So these ones, and also the next photographer that I'm going to show you, they are using the self perhaps less as a way of getting at who one is, and more almost as a sculptural presence. I'm just going to call him Arno because his last name, again, is troubling for me. Arno's images are, to me, very much about sort of man in nature. They're about this setting. They're about the body as another sort of animal, fleshy thing that is there, that is equal to, you know, this piece of wood, that is equal to this lake. They are performative images, right? You can imagine this is almost like, it's theater, not in the way that Carrie Mae Weems' work is. Carrie Mae Weems' work, to me, is theater that has a, you know, a script, right? You go there, there are characters, they have a story, right? It's a drama. This is almost more of like a ballet, right? It is a dance performance. It is something that is somewhat more abstract. It is not, to me, linguistic in the way that Carrie Mae Weems' work is. Carrie Mae Weems' work, you can feel that there are symbolic things which have specific meanings, that if you decode them, if you understand them, you are being told a story about a person within a society. This is almost a story that is more abstract, right? Is about like the body as an object moving through these spaces, that is about nature, that is more guttural, that is less spoken aloud and more, I want to say like grunts or something, but now I sound like a crazy MFA student. You know, they are, unlike the next one, like they are kind of playful, right? I feel like he is embodying himself. Can you do that? Inhabiting his body. There we go. In a way that seems at home, that he is here in these landscapes and is of them, right? He is in them and of them. He is in them and meeting them on their own terms. He is not here to dominate them. He is not here to be very serious about them. You know, to me, there is a beauty to that, right? The way that the body kind of acknowledges its place in the natural world. You know, and I think that a photograph like this, even though it's taken inside, right? The presence of, you know, the next generation, whatever, right? The idea of some kind of circular nature, you know, capital N, I guess. You know, and they're also very beautiful, right? They're very, very different. There is a sort of classical aesthetic nature idea that's going on in these pictures that is really different from some of the other stuff that we've seen. You know, also worth thinking about like how to take these pictures. You know, like where's this camera? Is it going to get wet? Who's taking the picture? Is it on a timer? Is he like jumping out there and hoping the water like calms down? Does he have an assistant who's doing it? How does having that assistant there next to him change this? You know, so in addition to sort of how we see these as a viewer, it's worth thinking about how they were made as a photographer. Also, you know, he's weird looking. I dig it. Coming up out of this log, you know, it's like, you go, Arno. This one again, I mean, this is a great inversion on shit like the naked 20-year-old woman in the sand dunes, right? Like constant, like, it's like boobs and butts everywhere, right? So here we've got like old dude out with like the snow and the mountains gonna be fucking freezing, right? Like this is, for me, there is a playfulness, there is a humor in this inversion of the way that a sort of more dominant masculine gaze has sort of operated in these spaces that I really enjoy. Yeah. John Copeland. Copeland. Let's say Copeland. I don't give a fuck how he pronounces his name. This is very much the, wait for it, Harry Ball's school of photography. So John Copeland's work, if Arno Minkinen, his ghost is going to come kick my ass if he's dead. If Arno Minkinen is playful, is joyous, is humble a little bit, is equal to the landscape, then John Copeland is just like super weird, macho, modernist, like, right? Like, this is modernist sculpture. You know, this is modernist sculpture that's big and metal and like sits in the middle of the plaza and is like, fuck you. Very different from the previous work. You know, I mean, I see all those things and I really like, it has a vibe that I find very off-putting. But it's also great. Like, it's super monumental. It's like big. It is like acknowledging the sort of like, you know, the like hairs and spots and weirdness of the body, right? It is the body as a sculpture, which is kind of fucked up looking, right? And he's like, I'm just putting it all out there, right? And I'm proud of it, right? There's an ego here that I do not feel in Arno's work, even though both of them are basically like old white guys, naked, hanging out. You know, like this picture is just like relentless. It's like, look at my balls, like, right? Like, anyway, this picture, right? Like, it's kind of great though. It's kind of great. Just like so big, so abstract. Like, those of you who are familiar with modernist sculpture, right? Like, it's like, boom, right there. You know, like, it's all of those things. It's just like gesture of like, roar, and like, you know, the body as a tombstone, as a slab, as a rock, as a tree, like all of these big, you know, like sort of undefeatable things. Funny again. So this is Nina Khachadorian, whose name I can pronounce. She is making, so we just had this like, you know, super macho thing. It's very like, you know, like this is like 4x5, right? It's like big, detailed, serious, like super serious picture, right? It's like, come to the gallery and buy my serious picture, right? And Nina Khachadorian was flying around a lot, right? She was like, you know, living the life of adjunct professor, art maker, bi-coastal, like on planes, going to talks, doing her thing. And so she found herself, right back when we went on planes, a lot. She was like, there's got to be something I do on these stupid ass planes during these trips. And she, you know, is well versed in the art historical Western canon. And so she started this body of work called Seat Assignment, where she's making pictures, sort of with whatever she can find to make a picture with, on a plane. And these ones are a series of sort of Flemish portraits using stuff that she had in the airplane bathroom. So that's a neck pillow, right? These are, I don't know if they're like paper towels. Like sometimes there's, yeah, here we go. The like seat protector that you put down so your ass doesn't get herpes or whatever. You know, and then like towel on her head. Right, same thing here. We have this little moment of, right, bathroomness, right, with the like grab bar thing in there. Again, the seat protector. They're really clever, right? They're very funny. They are playing off of this need for your audience to have this Western canonical painting knowledge, yes, but they're still pretty funny, right? She's doing something that has this very, like the paintings, if you go and look at them, they have a bunch of them in the Met. They're very somber paintings, right? The whole societal thing was like, you are wearing all black and white and that's it. Don't wear any fucking color because we're really serious. Like that was, they were like, we're rich, but we're not going to tell you about it because we're really serious, right? Like that was their whole thing, super austere, religiously conservative. And she is taking that way of making images, being stuck on these planes, needing something to like not go crazy, and making these pictures that I just absolutely love. And they're like taken with a phone. They're like, super low resolution because this is back in like 1845 or whatever. Really great. Look her up. Look up Flemish paintings, right? Dutch paintings. I don't know, whatever these countries are. So good. She's got a great nose too. It's fantastic. Nan Golden, right? So if we can think about this as a self-portrait where the self is in the picture, but the picture is not necessarily about that self, right? The picture is sort of like about her sense of humor, about her cleverness. It's something that is meant to bring joy to the audience, right? That's sort of its goal in being made. It brought her joy to make it. It brings you joy, or at least me joy, to view it. Nan Golden is a really sort of significant figure in the history of American photography, right? Recent American photography. She is someone who was part of a generation where images went from being sort of formal and composed and, sort of like, behold, or whatever, to images that were, color, slide film, deeply personal, autobiographical, not exactly photojournalism, right? These are not news stories, but they are about who she is, what's happening to her friends. This is from a book or a project called The Ballad of Sexual Dependency. Really, really famous. If you don't know about it, you'll know about it. I mean, now you know about it. You'll know about it more later. She was big in New York, music, clubs, going out, doing crazy shit. And the project was originally produced or exhibited as a grid of 9 slide projectors, right? You may have heard of them, with these images going on in a grid. The people who were there in the club were probably, some of them were people who were depicted in some of these pictures, and it was all set to music. So all of this had a soundtrack. We see it now as like pictures in a book, pictures on a screen, and it's divorced from all of these things. But it was something that was much more immediate, right? It was something where you might go there and see yourself in a picture. It was incredibly, intensely personal. She was someone who made pictures of things, moments where most people would probably not reach for a camera. Yeah, Nan on Brian's lap, Brian's birthday, 1981. Right, Nan and Brian again. Right, Nan for being battered. Right, so we're like, oh, okay, I can sort of, I can guess at what happened here, right? Like, but you're showing that to me. You're literally putting in my face with this like point and shooty camera with this on-camera flash. Like people are out here doing wild and crazy New York people things. So Nan Golden is someone who is making photographs where their honesty, right, their realness, is part of their appeal. You feel like you are knowing more about her and that what she is showing you is true about her, that it is urgent in some way, right? That she is showing you these unscripted, personal, intense, emotional moments, right? That's part of what those pictures are about. That's why they are self-portraits, right? They're telling us something about her in the moment as if we were also there experiencing it, perhaps, with her.